Perhaps you've seen it. Maybe in a dream. A murky, forgotten land.
Hello. Welcome. Wow, it's certainly been a while since I've done a video for just about anything. But anyways, this time we are looking at Dark Souls 2. Why Dark Souls 2? Why
A place
now?
souls
Almost
may
10
mend
years since it's
your
been
ailing
released.
mind.
Mainly, I'm doing this because there is a player-driven event going on at the moment, or soon, I should say. The return to Drangleic event. Now, what is the return to Drangleic event? Well, like I said, it's a player-driven event where old players are encouraged to make new characters, come back to the game, and, you know, have fun. And that sounds to me like a bit of fun. So that's why I'm doing this right now.
You'll be something
I actually got to kind of,
that feeds on souls,
without knowing it, participate in the Return to Lordran event, which is a similar event for Dark Souls 1. And I had a lot of fun with that. So I thought, why not try Dark Souls 2?
A great king.
It's a return to event, but to be perfectly honest, I don't actually have a whole lot of information about the game.
How could you be?
I've only played the first couple of areas, so
you will stand before its decrepit gate.
I really
knowing
can't say
why.
too much about it. It's gonna be my first time for the most part. Yeah, so, right. I enjoyed the first Dark Souls co-op, so we're gonna try and do some co-op in this one as well. Now, Dark Souls 2, I've looked up some information about, has this weird kind of matchmaking scheme where it uses soul memory. The total amount of souls your character has collected over the lifetime, and it uses that number to match you up with players with a similar amount of soul. So, you know, it kind of stops soul farming and stuff, but it's not the greatest matchmaking system around. But because I want to do some co-op, I have to keep that in mind. So I've used some character planners and looked up some information about weapons and spells and stuff. And I have come up with an idea for what kind of character I want to play during the return to Drangleic. I'm thinking about doing a Hexblade. Right, we use Hex's spells along with some kind of physical weapon of some sort to, you know, put the hurt on the enemies. Or be hurt by enemies. Who knows? It's a Dark Souls game, right? You're always going to have a little bit of hurt. Anyways, right, Hexblade. Looked at some weapons, and I think the weapon I want to use for this character is the Heide Lance. No, that's not right. The Heide Spear. I always mix those two up. So, with hexes, we need intelligence and faith, and for the spear, we need a bit of strength and a whole lot of dexterity. So, right, it's time. We're in the lands between, or betwixt maybe. Same thing. So I used a few character planners to look at the total soul memory for what I want to do with this character. Oh, that's an interesting new character there. Naked with a big old sword. So I've looked at what kind of soul memories my character would need based on what kind of starting job they have. And for what I'm thinking, right, there are pretty much 3 options. You start out as a depraved, right? Can't go wrong with a depraved. Lots of stat freedom, but no items. A sorcerer, also nice, right? That gives us the intelligence we need, but also starts off with a nice spell, staff. Or the swordsman, right? Who gives us the dexterity and a bit of strength. Also starts off with 2 +1 weapons, I think. And I'm thinking this time that swordsman is the best way to go. It has the lowest soul memory for the levels that I'm looking for at the moment. But it starts off a little slower than a sorcerer would. And between the sorcerer and the depraved, right, there's really not a whole lot of difference. The sorcerer gets to the mark 1 level earlier than the depraved, I think. So it's got a little bit lower soul memory. But comparing the sorcerer and the swordsman gets there way sooner. So we're gonna go swordsman.
You're finished. You'll go hollow.
Right, these fire keepers are gonna tell me how
You'll
I'm gonna be
become
hollow,
one of them.
how I'm gonna die,
Hollows
and I'm
prey
gonna lose
upon
all my
them.
souls.
Feast upon
And they're
their
right,
souls.
probably. You know,
This is the fate.
if it's
of the
not
curse.
an enemy that's gonna kill me, it's gravity. I'm gonna screw up a jump somewhere, or roll off
is
a
your
cliff
name?
at the wrong place. I'm gonna do something strange. Anyways, this character is named after, well, more or less named after the character I used for Dark Souls 1 Return to Lordran event, Evelyn. And, you know, Dark Souls is all about cycles. So, right, come back. We go round and round we go.
Own name.
So that character is coming back.
Here's your reward for sharing.
I'm gonna speed up
It's a
the
human effigy.
character creation selection a bit.
Take
Because
a closer look.
it's a bunch of
Who
me
do you think
experimenting.
it's supposed to be?
And I think
Think
the character I
deep
created
into your
turned out
past.
okay this time, but
Yes.
it's not for me to decide.
It's
I'm
an
happy with it at
effigy
least.
of you.
That's good enough for me. So when I was looking for weapons, looking at what kind of weapon I wanted to use for this run, right, I had the choice, lots of different choices, right? There are so many different kinds of weapons you can use or play with in this. And in Return to Lordran, I used, what was it? The Baldur Side Sword. And I used that pretty much from start to finish, right? I killed the Bell Gargoyles, Quelaag, everybody, all the way up to Manus and Artorias with this sword. It was great, but because I spent so much time using that sword in Dark Souls and Return to Lordran, I kind of decided I wanted to do something a little different in Dark Souls 2. So this time, right, I picked the Heide Spear. I was thinking also about the Grand Lance, because that's a nice weapon you can get early on, really powerful. Or the Heide Lance, Heide Grand Lance. But Right? It's a lot easier to get the spear, the Heidi spear, than it is any
to
of
break the
the
curse.
Heidi Grand Lance or the regular lance for that matter.
I should think.
So, right, the Heidi spear. Heidi spear comes with lightning and some faith scaling built into it, so that's good for dark X users, I suppose. Since we gotta level our faith up anyway. Right, and then we can infuse it with lightning or dark.
But remember,
Give it some more oomph.
hold on to your souls.
And then, of course, right, we've got the dark weapon Hex.
Keep you from going
Give it even more oomph.
Oh, I'll fool you no longer.
That's kind of what I'm
You'll
planning on
lose
doing
your
with this
souls.
character. Yeah, I'll lose my souls over and over.
And over
All of them.
again.
Oh, it's so sad. Ha 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 ha. I know. These firekeepers are a lot less likable than the firekeeper was in Lordran. I mean, there were a lot of different firekeepers, but the one in Firelink Shrine was a lot nicer than these. Anyways, alright, the character. I think she turned out okay. Right, he's not completely ugly. I don't know if that mole was bright or not, but yeah, that's fine. That's fine, I guess. Now we'll talk to the firekeepers, see what else they have to say. You know, not that they have to say too much. Oops.
You must go on a journey without rest.
She
Well, I suppose if you find
is
yourself
talking
at an
about
impasse. But
the
if your will is yet unbroken, then you may return here
respecking, I think.
to start again.
I never really got
With a
far
clean
enough to be able to
slate.
respec my character. So, I'm not entirely sure.
Now, go on.
Ha ha ha. Yeah. That's very useful. Thank you, thank you. Anyways, my plans for this character, right?
This
Once
is a limbo.
we get out of
A
this
limbo
hut,
between
we're gonna go
Drangleic
through the trees and the land between. In particular, because I want to get to that nest, the bird nest, so I can trade the stone, the silky stone,
Visit such a place.
or hopefully
This lost, decay,
infusion stone. And then we use some
My
of
name
these
is
souls to
Mildred.
level up our
The old
intelligence and faith, so we
once
can go
fire
talk to
keepers.
Falcon when we get the chance.
I am here
Then we're gonna
to look
cheese the
after
Dragon Rider.
It is what my mother did.
And I'm not very good at
And my
cheesing the
mother
Dragon
before
Rider.
her.
I'm going to
And so
tell you that in advance.
The old wind
I was
will
never
keep
very
us of the
good at it.
fire.
He's not too hard to fight normally,
now,
but
The fire shows signs
it's a
of
whole lot
fading.
faster to try and cheese and fail
Is beset
than
by hollows.
properly fight him. So, right.
The
We
old
use those
wind
souls
sisters,
to
I am told there was
open
a
the
fall.
path to Falcon, level up,
Long
and then
ago,
it's off to the forest
fire
of fallen
keepers were
giants and that
conquerors.
fort inside for the bosses and
Now they are lost.
the
scattered to
Pursuer,
the winds.
which is one of my least favorite fights.
The old
Right, when the
wind
first game
blows,
came out,
but now
when the first game, I should say, the first version of the game came out, you know, I'd always kind of be disappointed by the Pursuer, because you can fight him in the middle of the Forest of Giants, but if you die to him, like, he flies away and doesn't come back. And originally I thought he'd be like one of the Black Knights from Dark Souls 1, right, where even if you die to him, you know, he'll come back, but he never came back, and that was always kind of disappointing. But now I know, you know, when he dies, or when you die, haha, I should say, when you die and he flies off, he comes back as a boss again, so, right, there's no problem with dying to him. Right, you can get your revenge later. So I'm not going to worry about that too much. Yeah, so we're done with our inventory. Let's head off to the trees.